Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that has fascinated and frankly terrified people for centuries: creepy dolls. From antique porcelain figures with vacant stares to modern toys that seem to possess a life of their own, there's something undeniably unsettling about these inanimate objects. What is it about dolls that can send shivers down our spines? Is it their human-like form, frozen in a perpetual state, or perhaps it's the stories, the legends, and the real-life accounts that fuel our fear? Join me as we explore the story, the psychology, and the truly terrifying tales behind creepy dolls. They sit on shelves, peer from toy boxes, and sometimes, just sometimes, they seem to watch us a little too intently. But these objects, often associated with childhood innocence, have a history stretching back far, far beyond our modern understanding of toys. For many years, dolls served profound purposes, deeply intertwined with the beliefs and practices of ancient civilizations. In ancient Egypt, as far as back as 4,000 years ago, archaeologists have unearthed simple yet evocative dolls, often crafted from flat pieces of wood shaped like human figures and adorned with clay beads or even real hair. These paddle dolls weren't likely children's playthings. Evidence suggests they may have played a role in religious rituals, perhaps representing fertility or serving as symbolic companions in burials, offering comfort or magical protection to the deceased on their journey to the afterlife. Imagine these silent figures placed within tombs, their unblinking eyes witnessing the passage of time. Moving to ancient Greece and Rome, we find dolls crafted from materials like terracotta, bone, and even wax. Some of these figures had articulated limbs, hinting at a move towards more playful designs. However, their initial purpose often remained connected to the spiritual realm. Young girls, upon reaching marriageable age, would sometimes dedicate their childhood dolls to goddesses like Artemis or Diana, marking the transition from girlhood to womanhood. These dolls served as votive offerings, symbolic farewells to their youth. Yet, within these cultures, we also see the embryonic stages of dolls as toys, cherished possessions of children. As we move into early European history, particularly the medieval and Renaissance periods, doll making became more refined. Wooden dolls with painted features and simple clothing began to appear, alongside the more humble rag dolls lovingly stitched by mothers for their children. These were increasingly seen as companions for play, tools for imaginative storytelling, and objects of comfort. However, in these more innocent forms, something subtle could still feel off. The painted expressions frozen in time, the slightly disproportionate features, these early dolls could inadvertently trigger a primal sense of unease, a whisper of what we now understand as the uncanny valley, which we will develop more later on the video. Furthermore, the emergence of early automata, mechanical figures designed to mimic human movement, added another layer to the doll's complex history. While often created for entertainment and wonder, these clockwork figures with their jerky, almost lifelike motions could also evoke a sense of the unsettling, a feeling that something was moving and acting in a way that wasn't quite natural. So, from sacred objects and symbolic offerings to cherished playthings and early attempts at artificial life, the history of dolls is rich and multifaceted. It's this very ambiguity, their inherent human-like form coupled with their undeniable lack of life, that perhaps laid the groundwork for the creepier perceptions that would later take hold, setting the stage for the haunted histories and terrifying tales we'll explore later in this video. So, why do so many of us find dolls inherently creepy? Psychologists offer several fascinating explanations, delving into how our minds perceive and react to these inanimate objects. One of the most prominent theories is the uncanny valley. This concept, first introduced by roboticist Masahiro Mori, suggests that our emotional response to human-like objects is not linear. As something becomes more human-like, our affinity for it increases, until it reaches a point where it's almost human, but not quite. At this point, our feelings shift dramatically to unease, revulsion, and even fear. Think of a doll with glassy, unblinking eyes or a slightly stiff, unnatural gait. These subtle imperfections trigger a sense of wrongness, as our brains struggle to reconcile the familiar with the unfamiliar. This valley of negative emotion is what Mori called the uncanny valley. There are several theories about why we experience the uncanny valley, including the idea that our brains are wired to recognize faces and that when something familiar is distorted, it throws off our recognition system. Another theory suggests it's an evolutionary adaptation to identify the dead or deceased, or to warn against predators mimicking humans. Another psychological phenomenon at play is pareidolia, our tendency to see faces and human-like patterns in inanimate objects. This is a survival mechanism to quickly identify potential threats or social cues. Dolls with their clearly defined eyes, noses, and mouths readily trigger this response. Even a single pair of dots and a curved line can be interpreted as a face. But when that face is on a static, unblinking doll, it can feel unsettling. This isn't a flaw in our perception. It's a highly adaptive trait that has likely played a crucial role in our survival. Our brains are wired to rapidly identify faces, a skill essential for social interaction, threat detection, and recognizing kin. This face detection system is so efficient that it sometimes overshoots, leading us to see faces where none truly exists. Dolls, by their very design, often possess features that strongly trigger our pareidolia response. For example, eyes. Even simple dots or painted circles can be interpreted as eyes, the most crucial element in facial recognition and gaze detection. A doll's fixed, unblinking eyes can feel particularly intense, as they mimic a direct gaze, but lack the subtle movements and expressions of a living being. This can create a feeling of being watched or observed, even though we know the doll is inanimate. Mouths. Whenever a painted line or a sculpted shape, a doll's mouth can evoke expressions, even if static. A wide, fixed smile can feel unsettlingly unnatural, while a downturned mouth might project sadness or even a sinister demeanor. Our brains instinctively try to read these expressions and assign an emotional state to the doll. The general arrangement of features on a doll's head, even simplified versions, can be enough to trigger our face recognition system. The brain fills in the gaps and interprets the shapes as a rudimentary face. At its core, pareidolia is a psychological phenomenon where the human brain perceives a familiar pattern in random or ambiguous stimuli. The most common form of pareidolia is seeing faces in everyday objects. The front of a car looking like a face with headlights as eyes and a grill as a mouth. Patterns in wood grain resembling human features, or even the man in the moon. In essence, pareidolia tricks our highly evolved face recognition system into perceiving life and intention in inanimate objects like dolls. This misinterpretation, coupled with the doll's inherent lack of animation and often uncanny resemblance to human form, is a significant factor in why so many people find them inherently creepy. Finally, dolls can act as stand-ins for ourselves or others, tapping into deeper anxieties about mortality, control, and manipulation. A doll, after all, is a miniature representation of a person frozen in time. This can evoke a subconscious awareness of our own mortality. Furthermore, the act of controlling or manipulating a doll can be linked to anxieties about power dynamics in relationships. In horror films, this is often played out literally, with dolls being possessed or used to exert control over living beings. Dolls can become vessels for our own projections and anxieties. We might imbue them with imagined personalities or fears, making them feel more alive and potentially more threatening. Now let's delve into the realm of real-life, or at least believed to be real, creepy doll encounters. These stories, passed down through generations, have significantly shaped our perception of dolls as potential vessels for something sinister. The legend of Robert the Doll is perhaps the most famous. The straw-filled sailor doll, belonging to painter Robert Eugene Otto in Key West, Florida, is said to be possessed. The Otto family reported strange occurrences, including the doll moving on its own, giggling, and even causing mischief. Eugene claimed Robert had a mind of its own and would blame the doll for his childhood misdeeds. The doll is now on display at the Fort East Martello Museum, where visitors still report feeling uneasy in his presence. Many even write apology letters to Robert, fearing his supposed curse. Another chilling tale involves Annabelle, a Raggedy Ann doll that gained notoriety through the Warrens, renowned paranormal investigators. The story goes that a nursing student received Annabelle as a gift, but she and her roommates soon experienced terrifying events, including the doll moving, leaving handwritten notes, and even allegedly attacking one of the roommates. The Warrens concluded that the doll was possessed by a demonic entity and eventually took it into their possession, where it remained locked in a glass case in their occult museum. These stories, whether rooted in truth or embellished by folklore, have had a profound impact on our cultural understanding of dolls. They've served as inspiration for countless horror movies, books, and urban legends, solidifying the image of the creepy doll as a symbol of the uncanny and the potentially malevolent. The enduring popularity of this tale speaks to our deep-seated fascination with the possibility of inanimate objects harboring hidden energies or intentions. Speaking of popular culture, creepy dolls have become a horror staple, tapping into our primal fears and anxieties in terrifying ways. Several recurring tropes contribute to the effectiveness of creepy dolls in fiction. Possession, where a doll becomes inhabited by a malevolent spirit, is a common theme exemplified by Chucky in Child's Play. Sentience, the idea that a doll can think and act independently, adds another layer of unease. Revenge, where a doll seeks retribution for past wrongs, is another frequent motif. These tropes often play on the subversion of innocence, turning a child's toy into a source of terror. The contrast between the doll's harmless appearance and its sinister intentions creates a deeply unsettling effect. The fear of inanimate objects isn't unique to Western culture. Many cultures have their own legends and folklore surrounding dolls or similar figures. In Japanese folklore, for example, tsukomogami are household objects that can come to life after 100 years, sometimes with malevolent intentions. Voodoo dolls, used in Haitian voodoo, are often associated with curses and manipulation. These cross-cultural parallels highlight a universal human fascination and fear of the potential for inanimate objects to possess a life of their own. Even outside the realm of horror, the unsettling nature of dolls persists in modern forms, particularly with the rise of hyper-realistic creations. A reborn doll is a handmade art doll crafted to resemble a human infant as realistically as possible. The creation of hyperrealistic dolls, especially reborn dolls designed to mimic the appearance and feel of real infants, has sparked debate and often evokes strong reactions. While created with care and often used for therapeutic purposes, such as helping grieving parents, their lifelike appearance can be deeply unsettling to some. The level of detail, from delicate skin textures to realistic hair, blurs the line between toy and living being, triggering the uncanny valley effect in many viewers. These hyper-realistic dolls raise questions about the nature of reality and artificiality. As technology advances and we create increasingly lifelike representations of ourselves, the line between the real and the simulated becomes increasingly blurred. This can contribute to a general sense of unease as we grapple with the implications of creating objects that so closely mimic human life. The lingering, unsettling feeling associated with dolls, therefore, may stem not only from their appearance, but also from the broader anxieties surrounding our relationship with technology and the potential for artificiality to encroach upon our sense of reality. So, this concludes it for today. A very brief look into the eerie world of creepy dolls. Whether it's their historical significance, the psychological triggers they activate, the chilling real-life stories, or their terrifying portrayals in fiction. dolls continue to hold a unique and unsettling place in our imaginations. So, what do you find most unsettling about dolls? Have you ever had a creepy doll experience? Let me know in the comments below.